And Jared is good enough to take some time to join us. Having pulled off the big blockbuster, dude, you've still got unpacked boxes. I mean, you just moved in, and boom, you land two big fish in one phone call. We know it wasn't as easy as one phone call, but congratulations on the deal, and thanks for taking some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
So I want to know this. There's so many things that you may or may not be comfortable in telling us, and that's fine, but we're going to ask anyway. I want to know, first of all, if along the course of the discussions with the Indians, if there was a lot of tweaking and sweetening going on along the way, or if the framework for this in its initial stages is what kind of ended up happening.
Yeah, it's a good question. There were some changes. I think Lindor is someone we were interested in the entire time. I think initially it was more about him. Carrasco is someone we've also always had our eyes on. I think it really, came down to Cleveland's willingness to trade both players in the same deal versus separating the two players. I'm sure they examined both avenues, and ultimately at the end it just made sense for us, for the fit with our team, and to make the deal work, to get both players back. And we're incredibly excited about both. I know Lindor is getting a lot of the attention right now, but Carrasco is a proven starting pitcher who's going to slot right into the top half of our rotation. Throws strikes, multiple pitches, is deceptive, tunnels really well. So we're excited about both guys. They're going to help us a lot.
Hey, Jared, I want to go back you up a little bit. I got a couple questions in a row. One, I was thinking about Lindor. The first time I saw him was Yankee Stadium his rookie year, and I was like, who the heck is this? He went off. Everything. Ran, he made great plays, he had power. He displayed it all over a weekend against the Yankees. It was amazing. So that prefaces my first question. When was the first time you saw Francisco Lindor, and what were your impressions when you first saw him?
The first time I saw him was probably in his draft year, in draft video, and he's just an electric, exciting, talented player who, not only do you watch him and see the physical talent and the well-roundedness, but you see a guy who just absolutely loves the game of baseball, and the energy is just so infectious. And I think that's real. It's not something that's quantifiable necessarily, but this guy has an infectious energy, personality, work ethic, and he's a captivating player who just immediately demands your attention for the right reasons.
So on my second question, it could be third or fourth, but I'll stick to this one, just second one. When did this all start to come together? We know this didn't happen overnight, and Matt talked about the players that were in it, but when did this start happening as a trade possibility? When you came over from Arizona, you said, hey, what about Lindor? When did this all start happening?
No, I mean, I think, Sandy and Chris with Cleveland have been doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as the phone calls go. It was something that I'm sure came up a while ago. It was no secret that there's a chance Lindor could be available this offseason. He's a great fit for the Mets. As far as when it started to take a step forward, I would say it's probably about a week ago. After the first of the year, I think it's important to start to gain more direction as the market develops, and the free agency versus trade and how those two markets are working, and things kind of kicked into gear. The Indians kicked it into gear probably about 4 or 5 days ago, and we were prepared to be aggressive. I don't want to undersell we gave up some really good players in this deal, and our like I said yesterday, the Mets scouts and the minor league coaches and major league coaches should be very proud of themselves for putting us in the position to make a deal like this.
Jared, I'm thinking of your own career and the stops you've had along the way, and what you may have learned or gleamed in regards to trading for and trading away superstar players. You were in Boston, and correct me if I'm wrong here, in 2004. That was your first job in the big leagues. Were you in the room when the Nomar discussions were having, or was your capacity as an intern, did that prevent you from getting access to the intel?
Theo always gave us great access, which is, I always talk about it. I'm so lucky for that. Like, it was such an inclusive situation. But that year, I was actually the intern in Fort Myers, so I wasn't around for the Nomar discussions. But there was inclusivity, but I wasn't a part of that decision.
Okay, so in a few years later, when your role expanded and you went to the Arizona Diamondbacks, they traded a franchisable guy in Paul Goldschmidt. Was there any discussion there that you took as a lesson that applied to this deal the other day?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, there's different avenues to roster construction, and in my opinion, the one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing to find is a true five-tool middle of the diamond player in his prime. You want to be able to develop those guys, but when you have the opportunity to acquire one, it's rare and it's unique. And we felt like with Lindor specifically, he fits into that group very firmly. So as far as lessons learned, I think it's important to be patient. In these deals, to have a very good process. We talk a lot about process here, our decision-making process, which we've tried to shore up here. It's been collaborative, and I think at the end of the day, you get to a point where you feel comfortable with it, and you hope you get the deal done. And in this case, we were able to pull it off.
Hey, Jared, so I know you got the East Coast toughness about you growing up on the East Coast, and you've heard of the New York Minute. So, nice move yesterday, but what's next? That's what most Met fans are saying. So, what's next?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm never satisfied. We're never satisfied. The best teams are never satisfied. They're always looking to get better. So, we're going to be doing that. We're going to keep, being creative, being opportunistic. Evaluating the market, see how the market comes to us, and we have players to add, and I think a big part of it too. It's not just in the big moves like yesterday. It's creating a real deep lineup, a deep team, a deep roster with quality depth and quality players. So you have 30 to 35 players you can lean on over a 162 game season. If you do that, I think you put yourself in a good spot.
Is anybody off the table? I was just going to say, is anybody off the table? We've heard a lot about a lot of the free agents, Springer or the catchers or different things like that. Is anybody off the table, or are you guys still talking about all the different possibilities?
No, we're talking about everything. I mean, obviously we signed James McCann earlier in the offseason, so we feel really good about our catching position. But no, we're still evaluating the entire market.
Well, that deal that's coming for Francisco Lindor, I'm not sure that the new owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, was going to buy the chop shops outside the ballpark immediately. But, maybe that timeline gets pushed back now because that payroll's just gotten a lot more interesting. No pressure, Jared. Go out and win the World Series. Way to go, man. Thanks for joining us today, and congrats on this big deal.
Anytime. Appreciate it. Thank you.